These feet run an average of 150 miles a week, 6,500 miles a year, more miles than most of us drive. Over the past 10 years, these feet have pounded out more than 65,000 5-minute miles. They are the feet of Jim Alder, present Commonwealth Marathon champion. Marathon was the scene of the Greek victory over the Persians in 494 BC. A runner named Phidippides raced to Athens with the great news. Then he collapsed and died. When the Olympic Games were revived in 1896, this ancient legend inspired the marathon race, the distance over which a man was prepared to run and die. 26 miles, 385 yards is the distance, mainly over roads, then a lap of the track to finish. What are they like, these men who lined up last May in the Meadowbank Stadium, Edinburgh, to compete for a place in the Scottish Marathon team? Why do they do it? Why does Jim Alder, runner number 6, continue to do it?
As the present Commonwealth Marathon champion, I feel that to defend my title and win it on my home ground would be the utmost. For me, the satisfaction is trying to beat the best in the world at my distance. I find that the marathon is a man's event, unlike any other event on the track. And it takes years to acquire the aptitude to push yourself mentally and physically. Over the past 10 years, I've pushed the limits of endurance farther and farther, and I find that I can really drive myself almost to the point of death's door. I've never actually enjoyed a race. I don't like punishing myself. I like the result and also the satisfaction of having run well against good opposition. My theory on this is that the marathon, unlike any other race, is a test of man against himself. And for me, being highly strung, it's an even bigger challenge. I found through athletics, and especially marathon running, that I found an event I can do reasonably well. I'm a far more confident man. Just in general, athletics have made me, and I owe a great deal to athletics. I was born in 1940 in Glasgow. I lived there for about 4 years. When my father was killed in action, I was put into an orphanage, and then my mother remarried again. She had TB by then, and I contracted TB as well. She died of that ailment, and I went back into an orphanage in Edinburgh this time. I was then adopted up in Inverness with my sister, Pat. I don't know why we were just taken back into this orphanage in Glasgow. We were there for another year or so, and then I was adopted in Musselburgh. And then after that, we were adopted twice for very short periods. To this day, I've often thought of going back and finding out, possibly gloating over, over the fact that I have made it, that people possibly thought that I was no good. And I have since made it, but I keep putting these ideas out of my head. I was then, at 9, adopted by Mrs. Alder down in Morpeth in England. I originally started running at the Morpeth secondary school at the age of 12. I was second in my first race, but I realised then that I was prepared to push myself a bit harder than the rest of the lads. I started work in the building trade as an apprentice bricklayer. I carried on the running spasmodically and then started to train a bit harder when I was 17 or 18. When I was 24, I got married to Kathleen. And I think this was one of the turning points in my career. Marriage seemed to stabilise me. I was now doing about 100 miles a week. My wife has a fair bit to put up with. The last marathon I did was the European marathon. I kept thinking of Kathleen and my son Ian and my new daughter Susan, and I kept thinking I must run well for them, must keep going, and you just keep telling yourself over and over again. I tend to lean on my wife and family and what means most to me. I packed in my previous job so that I could take up a job that wasn't quite as strenuous. I'm now doing freelance journalism, but I don't know what I'll make really, because I've got to wait until the checks come in. As yet, I'm not making as much as I was before. I've got to build into this gradually. But I am working at a loss at present. The maximum wage I've ever had is £16.10. I find that training in general to me is a bind. It is an end to a means. There is the odd time where I enjoy training, but if I could find another way of achieving success, I would possibly try. I remember a funny happening to a friend of mine who used to work at the same hospital, and he was training quite hard, and about 7:30 in the morning, and he was going over the golf course, and he saw these people playing golf. He gets to work and he says to his boss, he says, I was out training this morning and I saw some fools playing golf. And his boss says to him, Tommy, he says, when they go home, they'll say they're out playing golf and saw this fool out running. It's how you look at it. I decided after the European Games last September that my next big aim was the Commonwealth Games, which were to be held in Edinburgh in July. Now, I decided that from September last year, I would gradually build up my fitness. You can only bring out the best once or twice a year, and I want the best to be out in July. So I raced half pace until Christmas. Now from New Year onwards, I started speeding up a little bit, and I have since touched 100 and 150 miles per week. I'm training in full tracksuit and big heavy shoes. I've lost up to about 3/4 of a stone in a day in training in sweat. I go better. I train in full tracksuit, long sleeve vest, anoraks on. I maintain that that is all part and parcel of the build-up. Everybody has this misconception that you can blow up or your heart will give out. Doctors will tell you that you black out first before your heart fails you. Anyway, training is good for the heart. I have recorded a pulse rate of 38 when I'm at my fittest. It takes time and experience to be able to accept pain. But I feel that being able to accept pain, you can, on special occasions, rise to superhuman efforts. I feel that the British characteristics are inherent in marathon. Stubbornness, the will to win, the failure, if you like, to give in to the inevitable, and that's why the British, I feel in general, are good distance runners. The marathon is one of the few races where you call upon all your reserves. You're like drawing money from the bank. I feel up till now, all I've been doing is putting it into the bank. And I try and shield myself psychologically from races as best I can. So everything is geared for July the 23rd. And all being well, if I'm fit enough, I feel that I must run well on that day. I must give up my best. The beauty of the marathon race is that you have got time to think clearly. It's like a game of chess. And I find that I'm constantly looking at the other rivals and see how they're reacting to it. Because I find in a marathon that once the pain starts, you can't hide it. And everything is written on a runner's face. I've got a habit of coming through from behind in marathons because I run more even paced than most runners do. I find that the crucial stage is between 15 and 20. There is a change or two in the first 2 or 3, but in general you can pick your first 6 between 15 and 20. You should judge the race according to how you feel, not what the time is. How you feel yourself at that pace. And if it hurts at that pace early on, it's going to really hurt later, so you've got to adjust. You've got to see how you feel and assess how you feel. This, I think, is the essence of marathon running. My tactics are cat and mouse. I feel that you should play a waiting game. In the end, in a marathon, the better man wins, irrespective of what pace you go. If you're better than your contemporaries, if you're on even pace, you must win. I prefer to take a sponge rather than a drink, because you've got to stop for a drink and you break your rhythm, and also you're gulping down wind. So you are creating a bit of a problem by taking a drink. The pain in a marathon is completely different to any other pain. It's like a slow torture. Your mind says no, your body says no, but inwardly you're pushing yourself on. You find that in the last 4 miles in a marathon, everything becomes muddled. The only salvation I can draw upon is my home life, and your mind's hurting and your body's aching, and your legs and arms are weary, and everything. You just want to finish, want to lie down. I'm haunted by the fear of runners from behind. I get the impression that they're looming up larger than life, that they're closing on you fast, and the runners in front are going away faster, and everybody is moving better than you are, and everything is out of focus. You seem to have lost contact with reality. Your reason is gone. Your rivals are larger than life. It would be like under LSD. You have these hallucinations. You've only got 3 or 4 miles to go, but you imagine that it's like an eternity, and you think you'll never get there.
Add another 3 seconds on.
First, in a time of 2 hours, 17 minutes, 11 seconds, J.N.C. Alder, Edinburgh Athletic Club.
The success and failure that I've experienced in marathon running, I think you experience the widest horizons that anybody can feel or can experience in life in general. And I'm deeply indebted to marathon running because through marathon running I found myself, and who knows, I may end up Olympic champion. If not, I can always say, well, I had a damn good try.